The recovery space has let survivors down. A 6 year journey in the dark. My recovery from narcissistic abuse did not come from the so called narcissistic recovery space. It came from something much harder: finding depth where none was offered and building a symbolic map from scratch. When I was first broken, what the recovery space gave me were lists and descriptors: trauma bonding, gaslighting, hoovering. Useful words, yes, but they explained nothing. They gave me recognition without pathways. For years, I circled these descriptors, trying to stitch meaning together while my psyche spun in mirrored inversion. It took 6 years of painstaking work, not because recovery has to take 6 years, but because I was walking without a map. Vaknin and the missing depth. The turning point came when I found Sam Vaknin's work. His theory of the shared fantasy of cathexis and anticathexis of mirrored object relations, this gave me a framework. For the first time, I could compare what he described with what I had lived. I could map his clinical insights onto my own object relations and see, this is not madness, this is structure. To survive, I had to dedicate myself to learning the architecture of NPD and then extend it, to symbolically trace my own collapse, to build the diagrams, to give names to the things I had lived but had never seen described. That's how MPIT was born, a bridge between theory and lived collapse. Why the recovery space has failed. The recovery space failed because it refused to do this. It infantilized survivors with simple explanations instead of engaging them as adults capable of complexity. It withheld psychodynamic clarity, given descriptors without structures. It promised recognition, but never authorship. So survivors are left wandering in the fog for years, and those who recover, recover because they outgrow the space itself, because they go searching for theory, for depth, for meaning beyond slogans. The difference a map makes. My 6 years prove something critical. Without symbolic maps, recovery drags into the long dark. With symbolic maps, languages, and practices, recovery can be clearer, shorter, and less annihilating. I had to spend years building what should have been available. Survivors after me should not have to. If they are given psychodynamic clarity, symbolic pathways, and practices for reintegration from the start, their 6 years should become 3, 2, or even 1. The narcissistic recovery space has let survivors down. It has chosen simplification over depth, comfort over complexity, authority over authorship. Survivors deserve better. My recovery was slow, not because I was weak, but because I had to build the symbolic map myself. 6 years in the dark taught me what the recovery space refused to offer. The collapse is structured, inversion is predictable, and reintegration is possible. Now imagine what recovery will look like when survivors are given the map from the very beginning. Peace out. Loads of love.